training, self-defense, doubles as a walking stick or a hiking stick. The best thing about this is that you can become your own first responder and use a walking stick for self-defense. So Training with the Joe teaches you how to do the basics of self-defense using this length of a stick or a staff, which is about the exact same size as a trekking pole or a hiking stick. It's a very versatile weapon. Now I just got this Joe. This is one of my favorite new weapons. I have been using this thing all day today. It moves so well. It's perfectly balanced. This is a new product that I've seen. It's new to me. It's made by the same people that make my canes. So this is a Cane Masters Joe or walking stick, self-defense hiking stick. Violence is on the rise, especially wherever we are, where I am. There's a lot more violent crime. We see it. I did the study this morning. I read, got on Google, looked at all the statistics from the government. It's shooting through the roof. Violent crime is rising near you, near me. So become your own first responder. I believed in being your own first responder anyway. You're always there first. Even if you call for help and someone comes, you're there first. You might as well be the first responder. Learn how to defend yourself with a Japanese Joe or a hiking stick. Learning how to fight with weapons, learning how to fight with a stick allows you to train and be able to pick up any stick, any length, and defend yourself. So let's go over this very quickly. I want to get right into self-defense techniques using your walking stick. The first one is having it in your front hand between you and the threat. Put your stick there if you can. If you're paying attention to what's happening around you, you put the cane between you and the threat. You can then point the thumb, which puts it right there into that backhand. Now this comes straight from Joe martial arts, using the Joe for self-defense. When you point your thumb, you can now thrust. One of the things I like about this Cane Masters Joe is this hand here, these grips here. Now you can have this made, this one's hickory, and this has these hand grips here, these little teeth. I like this here because that keeps it in my grip. When I thrust, when you thrust, you're gonna be able to thrust and have a better grip. You're gonna be able to hit so much harder because of these teeth. Doesn't have to have it. If you prefer to have a smooth Joe, this is in that first link below, you can have them make it with a smooth Joe. It spins just as well. It's gonna go from one hand into the other hand. You're gonna be able to do all of the same traditional Joe staff techniques and training that you would with one that doesn't have that. But this added feature in this front hand between me and the threat, he's coming up. I don't know if he has that knife or not, but look at this. The reach advantage that you're gonna have with a hiking stick, becoming your own first responder. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially when I've had some confrontations in the last few weeks with some, I keep calling them homeless. I don't necessarily think they're homeless. We'll just call them criminal types of people. Criminals who are high on drugs, doing drugs, begging for money in an aggressive way, trying to intimidate people, and I have to confront them and charge them off. The first question in my head is, does that person have a knife? The guy yesterday, or 2 days ago, he was playing with his pocket. I don't know what it's in his pocket, right? But if this comes out, then I want to be able to be in this position as fast as I can. And with this hardwood Joe, with this Cane Masters self-defense walking stick, I can stick that through his face and down, and this thing is not going to break. I've got to tell you, I've been using another martial arts brand, Joe, Japanese Joe. It's about the same length, a little bit shorter, thicker, but it's dried wood. This is specially handmade, and I was just talking to the guy that makes these today. They soak these for like a couple days in oil, and it's an oil mixture. It's their own special blend. It's like oil and polymer, and it kind of rejuvenates the wood, makes it a little bit more flexible again, brings it back to life, so that when you're doing your training, you can go as hard as you want, and you're not gonna be breaking this one. Especially in self-defense, that's what you want. Plus it has the weight that you're gonna be able to break bones for self-defense, and that's what I want. If there's any question, any possibility that this is gonna pop out of somebody's knife, and before I let them close the distance and stick that in me or slash me up, I want to first stop their advance, so I'm gonna thrust. So in your front hand, you're gonna point your thumb and thrust. Become your own first responder means you're walking down the street, there is an emergency situation. A bad guy's coming at you. There's a group of thugs. You turned down the wrong street. You didn't know there was a protest about something or the other. And you see these guys swinging skateboards at people and intimidating people and throwing things and trying to pick fights or just aggressively attacking people. And that's been happening in the news. Like I said, violent crime is on the rise. Whether it's a protest or it's a desperate person begging for money so they can feed their habit, and they're coming after you because you look like an easy target, but you're walking with a hiking stick. You have to be in the mindset of becoming the first responder. Before the police get there to help you out, you're there. You're already there. So you are the first responder. Whether you're effective or not, that's up to you, right? So you're here. There's the threat. Point the thumb. It pops it in the backhand. First motion is just thrusting, pushing, creating distance, using your body. But watch. You're going to push with this backhand, kind of like a pull cue. And then there's that grip again. See those? They're kind of built into there. I've got this here, and I'm thrusting straight through. What targets will I remove or destroy? I'm doing target focus training. I'm looking at his eyes, his nose, his throat, his solar plexus, and I'm gonna just go straight in first. The shortest distance between the 2 points is the straight line. They've been telling you that since second grade. You're gonna use that information. Great. Math, geometry, now it's got some relevance, right? Between you and me, or you and the threat, I'm going straight in. That's your first technique. Practice that with your hiking stick, your walking stick, or if you have this Cane Masters Joe. If you want to see what these cost, you pay a little bit more for hickory, but I'm gonna tell you, this hickory, I've always been an oak fan. I love the oak. I saw the oak too, but this hickory, I'm a big fan. Either one is a great option. Both of them are not indestructible, nothing is, but they're pretty close. In the front hand, point the thumb, thrust. Thrust and push at the same time. Push the arms out and push here. Now let me tell you something else that occurred to me today as I was training with this, and I tested it out. I sat myself in the chair. I don't have it here right now. I sat myself in the chair out there because I keep thinking about this idea that not everybody, Matthew says, I like your target focus approach. That's not mine. I don't want to take credit for that. That comes straight from Tim Larkin. The book is called When Violence is the Answer. He's here on YouTube, Tim Larkin. Go look him up. You're going to learn so much. Great resource when you do realistic self-defense training. Not martial arts training, not Krav Maga, nothing against Krav Maga, but stuff that actually works. In this case, having a big pole in your hand, having a big oak or hickory Joe, smashing straight through, that works if you do the target focus training. Eyes, nose, ears, mouth, wherever you can go, that neck. But you have to think about removing or destroying, using violence against the opponent. Not in a boxing match, you're not trading punches. You want one and done. If you can, you go straight through. Back to the chair. If you're in a wheelchair, you can use the Japanese Joe. You can be sitting and you can practice all of the Joe techniques from a seated position, and you're gonna start to build strength in your arms, your shoulder, your core, and you might have limitations, but you're also going to be learning how to defend yourself, how to strike, how to block, how to smash them away, bring that backhand through, this on top, thrusting up, all from a seated position. And I suggest learning how to do that even if you don't need a wheelchair or you're not stuck in a chair. Learn how to do it from a park bench. Learn how to do it from the bus. Maybe you're on the subway. Maybe you're in your car. Practice getting out of the car, leading. This is on your passenger seat, unless there's somebody there, then maybe it's in the back. But you put it there and you get out like you're gonna go for a hike or you're walking down the street. That's why I love the hiking stick, the walking stick. And the best thing about the Joe, the Cane Masters Joe, you can use this as a hiking stick. I used to use the Joe I had for years and years, left it in Ohio, but it lasted forever because it was white oak. This hickory is gonna last longer. I'll tell you that right now, I can feel it. But from here in the front hand, point the thumb, thrust. What happens if it's in the backhand? This way, you still have a lot of great options. It's just as powerful to lift your elbow and point your elbow at the threat. Now I'm pointing my elbow. Remember that weird video, the guy with the salt coming, whatever, that Salt Bay or something like that? I never really got into that kind of, those memes and stuff, but that's what that reminds me of. But look at this, I'm guarding the side of the head, and this is pointing right at the threat. Now the way you get the other hand on there is you just cross the body, you bring it here. What if you're sitting in the chair? Can you do this? Absolutely. If a big stick is between you and the threat, can you move them back? Straight line, right through the throat, eyes, right in the solar plexus, maybe down in the groin. Maybe it's a vicious animal. You can defend yourself in the backhand simply by pointing the elbow at the threat. The other hand comes on it. Now you have two hands on this hard piece of wood, this hard wood that's longer than a knife, right? We'll go back to that real quick, and then I can get it out of my pocket. Feels weird having stuff in your pockets when you wear soft shorts. Wearing short pants today because I'm working out. It's hot in here. I don't turn on the heat when I don't have students, or the air. Feels like I turned on the heat. It's like 92 degrees in here. But look at that. I'm not gonna mark this up. It's too pretty. But I'll show you with the back. It's still not gonna bleed, right? That's the other benefit of having a walking stick for self-defense. When you become your own first responder, because violent crime is rising, yes it is. Can you defend yourself with a stick? 1000% yes. Why? Because it's longer than a knife. Why? Because it's harder than your knuckles. Because it's harder than your hand. Why? Because it's harder than the flesh on his face. It'll knock his teeth down his throat. It'll go right through here and kill him for self-defense. I know it's violent, but that's what it is. We're using violence against violence. Go in and crush right into the solar plexus, crush the cartilage that's in there, put everything else into a spasm. You can't walk upright, can't stand upright. Going right into between the belly button and the private parts. That thin fascia muscle, that thin layer of muscle, when that pops open, boom, it pops out. It looks like a knuckle on your skin. Your guts are sticking out there. They got to poke it back in with their finger. Hopefully we're wearing a glove, the surgeon, right? And then they sew it up. But until that happens, you got a hernia. There are a lot of things you can't do. One of them is continue to assault somebody while they're defending themselves with the Joe. So if you stick that right there and you give them the hernia, or you just put them on the ground, they're not going to be able to survive that. They'll live. The cops will come and scoop them up, and then the surgeon in the prisons will maybe sew them up. I don't know if they do that or not. The point is, you have the right to defend yourself. Learn how to thrust. That's the very first motion. From the front hand, point it, thrust. From the back hand, point the elbow, other hand on it, and thrust. Now, the second kind of strike is going to be this angular strike, slashing straight down. Think about chopping down a tree, only the tree is their neck. You're gonna hit them there, you're gonna hit them in the temple, turn off their operating system. You're here in this front-handed position, point the thumb, practice the thrust, pull it back to your shoulder. This is my left hand in the lead, pull it back to your left, and strike down at that angle. That's the second technique for self-defense, using the walking stick. How can you use a walking stick for self-defense? Thrust first and then chop. Thrust, chop. Practice it, put it in the front hand, point the thumb. You've got to get comfortable with it popping up into that back hand. Point the thumb, thrust, shoulder, chop. Point the thumb, thrust, shoulder, chop, switch feet. Now it's in the other hand. It's one of the most beautiful things about the Japanese Joe is it's a bi-handed weapon. It's, what do we call that? When you ambidextrous. You learn how to use it on this side or on this side. I'm going to show you some exercises you can do to increase your handling of the Joe, how smooth you can get, and you'll learn how to flow and do all these cool, fancy techniques. But first things first, the weirdo, the stranger, the thug, the group of thugs. By the way, this is great for multiple attackers. If you have multiple attackers, street fight self-defense, a Joe, a medium-sized stick, gives you great reach and flexibility and utility. That's the word I was looking for. Things that you can do that you would not otherwise be able to do with just your hands alone, hands and feet. Unless you're some, young stud MMA fighter in the, ground and pound game or something. But for the rest of us, learn how to fight with a stick. There's sticks everywhere. So number one, point the thumb, thrust to the shoulder, chop, switch hands, and try it on the other side. Point the thumb, thrust, chop, switch hands. Notice when I'm switching hands, I'm letting them slide by each other. It feels so good. I can't say enough about this Cane Masters Joe. When you have a weapon like this that's custom made, you're paying more than you'd pay at, I'll just say, Century Martial Arts, Asian World of Martial Arts. Nothing wrong with nothing wrong with that junk they import from overseas that's dried out wood and they put lacquer on it and it breaks the first time you hit it. Nothing wrong with that, right? But you pay a little bit more for something like this, you get what you pay for. From here, point your thumb, thrust, shoulder, chop, and then just slide your hands. And I've got tons of those other weapons there, because sometimes that's all you can get. When I was talking to the guy who owns Cane Masters, and I said, can you make me a Joe? And he said, yeah, we already have a Joe. I said, well, where is it? I need one. I need one to train with. And he got this to me. Actually, we drove down there and got it this morning. And then the rest of the day, I've been messing around with this thing. I'm not going to tell you it's good if I don't think it's good. If in this hand, you're going to point, you're going to thrust from your shoulder, chop. But what if it's in the backhand? Can you defend yourself with a stick? Yes, if it's a Joe, you can. Is violent crime rising? Absolutely. Have you read the websites? Have you been watching the news? It's happening everywhere. Who is going to come and save you? You can't wait 3, 4, 5 minutes sometimes. You're there right now. You're the first responder. Be your own first responder. Learn how to defend yourself with something you have, an everyday carry walking stick. Some people will say, well, this is more effective. Sure, that's not the question here. What if you don't want to carry one of those? You want to carry something like this. I prefer this. I want to do this and create distance than try to get into one of these, right? Because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to have to go to that level in most cases. Now, someone comes into my house, middle of the night, try to hurt my kids. That's where I'm going, right? But if I'm out for a hike walking on the beach, this is great to take to the beach because of the way it's made. This is great to take hiking on the trails. We hike constantly. Now I'm hiking, I don't know who or what. There might be some, especially down here, there are wild animals. We've got alligators, we've got panthers, we've got bobcats. I don't know what black bear. I don't know what else is on the trail. So I've got this with me just as an extra layer of protection. This is a lot harder than this. This gets bit or sliced with a knife or stabbed with a knife. That's fatal to me, right? This, I can create that distance. It's in the backhand, point the elbow, thrust, and then slide the hand down and slash from your shoulder. Do that chopping motion. Switch your hands so that it's in the other hand. Now put it back. It's in the backhand. That means if this is the attack, my backhand, I'm going to lift, thrust. This thrusting motion is extremely powerful. That's why in the military, you learn how to do that with your rifle. You run out of bullets, they say, affix bayonets. That means stick your knife on the end of your rifle. Now your rifle becomes a spear, becomes a bow, becomes a Joe, becomes a martial arts staff. That's what you're fighting out with. So yeah, the knockout game. Who's that? Kim. Kim's referencing the knockout game that was popular in the media years back, and then it kind of disappeared, and now it's come back with all these Asian attacks or whatever. And the reality is, yes, there are attacks against Asian people, but attacks against every kind of person, especially older people who look like they're not going to defend themselves. Because who goes up and attacks people? Who does the knockout game? If you've ever watched them, they come up and they try to knock somebody out with a punch to the side of the head when they don't see it. Who are they going after? Someone that looks like me, walking down the street in somewhat decent condition, right? With my shoulders back, paying attention around, not watching my phone. Or they go after the person who's carrying 2 bags of groceries, or as a cane in a bag of groceries, or a hiking stick in a bag of groceries, or walking their dog, or whatever, right? They go after the people they think they can hurt and aren't going to fight back. They're cowards, they're punks, they're thugs. And I'm not just talking about the knockout game people. Look at all of the violent protesters. Who do they go after? Other than the ones that are, going back and forth with the cops. At least they're fighting the cops, right? But I'm talking about the ones who are attacking, like going down the street, and you have these people having dinner, enjoying dinner with themselves. You happen to have your hiking stick there, your walking stick, because you are your own first responder, and you know violent crime is rising. And you're sitting at the outdoor dining spot in one of these crime cities where the crime is exploding because there's no cash bail, and they keep changing the rules to protect the criminals. Those are all true. I didn't make it up. Go Google it. But you're sitting there having dinner with your husband or your wife or your significant other or your best friend or your grandmother, grandpa, or whomever it is. Maybe your grandkids. Imagine that, right? You're older and you took your grandkids out so mom and dad can go have a date night, and then these punks are coming down and intimidating people, and then they sit down at your table, drink your food, knock the rest out, and start to accost you. And they go, and all you say is, I don't agree. And then they go to smash something on you like a skateboard or whatever, and then you've got your hiking stick. You've got this Joe, this Japanese Joe made in hickory that's a lot stronger than that skateboard, right? It's in that backhand, thrust, slash, or chop. Think about chopping them down. And then as you switch hands, bring it through, put it down from the back side, from the backhand lift. Remember, point that elbow at the threat, at the punk, and then thrust, shoulder, and chop. Now the third one is going to be a similar motion, but I want you to think about punching straight in with the backhand. So, and we're building these into techniques. So you're gonna do thrust, that chopping motion, and then you're gonna punch with the backhand. I'm gonna start in the front hand. This works in both hands, right? You've seen that so far. That's the theme. Front hand, when you're learning how to fight with a stick, you've got to be ambidextrous. You don't know which hand it's going to be in when you need it. Point the thumb. Thrust, shoulder, chop. Here's that backhand punch. See what that does? That brings the other end straight across the jaw, breaking the jaw, hitting the temple. Lights out. They're unconscious. Let the cops come, sweep them up. From here, front hand, point the thumb, thrust, strike, strike. But then you have to start thinking in terms of targets. What are the targets you're going to remove or destroy? Because this is self-defense. When you become your own first responder, because violent crimes are rising, which is true, you become your own first responder, and you want to learn how to defend yourself with a self-defense walking stick, otherwise known as a Cane Masters Joe. Check that first link below. Go look at it, see what it looks like. Price-wise, shipping, all the different things that you can have done to it. Or just go simple. You don't even have to have those put in there. But I recommend it because that gives you just so much more strength. From here, front hand, thrust, shoulder, down, backhand is punching across. Hello from a hot evening. Magnus, it's hot in Sweden. Magnus is in Sweden. Hello, Magnus. It's hot here in South Florida. I know we're worlds apart seemingly, but we're all together this way. Thank you to everybody else. I haven't seen all the comments yet. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. I was a little hyper. I'm so excited about this Joe. I can't say enough about the Cane Masters Joe. It's like the perfect weapon. I haven't had a handmade weapon like this in a long time. I've been using, the other ones that I have, and I got this today, and I started doing some of the traditional moves from martial arts with this, and I haven't had this kind of perfect balance, this kind of reach, and so I'm all excited. So pardon me for getting so excited, but I wanted you guys to see this. Basic techniques. Front hand, point the thumb, goes into the backhand, thrust into their face. Start to think in terms of target acquisition training. What can you remove or destroy? That's a question you ask yourself. You're standing here, you realize, I'm gonna have to defend myself. This person is not stopping. They seem like a threat. I put this in front of me, and I just pop it in the backhand. And I say, you're too close to me, back up. And then, in your mind, you ask yourself very quickly, with a breath, what can I remove? His eyesight. I'm gonna take his eyes, or I'm gonna try to turn off his operating system. I'm gonna hit him right in the, anywhere in the head. I'm gonna hit with such force with his hickory or oak Joe that it's gonna knock him out, because I don't know if he's got a knife in his pocket. He could be younger, faster, stronger. He has all of that going for him. I need to defend my grandchildren. I need to take care of my kids. I need to take care of my wife or my husband or the other people who are with me. Or I have every right to defend myself. I don't have to become a victim of that thug, that criminal, that person who should be in jail, but they let him get out this morning, and he laughed in the cop's face and said, I'm gonna be out by this afternoon. Go ahead. Or they didn't even take him to jail because they're not arresting for crimes under a certain amount. I mean, it's crazy. If you read what's going on, I spent too much time this morning reading crime statistics and how things are going up in certain areas. And it's worldwide, but especially in the United States, it's happening in big cities that have these extremely liberal, they're protecting the criminals. I'm just gonna say it, protecting criminals, so you have to protect yourself. That's why you have to become your own first responder. And I'm not advocating violence, except in the case where you need to use violence. I'm advocating for violence for you in self-defense of you. Use violence against them before they use the violence against you. That's what we're talking about. You have every right. Front hand, thrust, shoulder, strike, back hand, punches, breaks the jaw, switch hands. As you switch, practice sliding the hands and not taking the hand off. You're here, point that thumb, back up, buddy. I have every right to defend myself. You're too close. Thrust, temple, jaw. Switch hands. Solar plexus, temple, jaw or temple, whatever you want to, whatever target pops into your head. Then in the backhand, we're going to do the same thing. Yeah, you can go to Home Depots or Lowe's or Hardware and Lumber and get one for $10 less. Let me show you that real quick because that's a really good point. And I do advocate investing your time before you invest your money. Let me see, where is that? Hold on. You know what? Come with me. It's in the weapons corner down there. See that? Those are the rags I was juggling. Or I haven't juggled in a while, so I thought, kids had to juggle in a couple weeks. I need to practice my juggling skills. Things like that just help your brain. If you're getting older, learn how to juggle. Field trip. Yeah, we're on a field trip. That's right, Jimmy. Peter in Germany. Peter says, if I think it's bad here in the States, come to Germany. Yes, Peter, I've heard that. Europe is way ahead of the United States in this socialistic nightmare where the criminals are getting free reign, and I don't know how it's happened, but I think it's intentional. I don't think it's accidental. Let's leave it at that, and not get too political and get me kicked off of YouTube because I say what is politically incorrect but factually correct, right? So this is the one that comes from the hardware store, and I had this for long enough, but I want to show you. When you strike, you have a lot of force, right? You can aim this here, pushing, striking, in through the middle, taking out the leg. And if you keep it oiled, I brought it back to life with some linseed oil. There's not a crack in it. It's not broken. It's going to be able to go, it's going to be able to take a lot of training. Will it take as much as this, Joe? No, but this is the one you invest your money in after you invest it in this to see if you like it or not, right? Before you get into this one. But look at the difference. This is the one from the hardware store. They don't come longer than this. This is about the length. Sometimes you can get them a little bit longer and cut them down, but I haven't found them. This one, excuse me, this is the custom-made Joe from that first link below. Both extremely valuable weapons, or options. You can, if you don't have 80 bucks or whatever this costs, and I'm not sure exactly what it is because the hickory is a little bit more than the oak. But get this, this is probably white pine. White pine, you can do all the same things. Now you can hear how hard it hits by the sound it makes when I turn my body. That's a basic technique I'm going to show you today. It's a much harder hit with this. This one is going to compress flesh. That means it's going to push everything to the bone extremely fast, causing a contusion or splitting of the muscle. It's going to rip the muscle, and it's going to shatter the bone. Now, will this one? Maybe not. Not on that strike there. Is it still effective for self-defense? Yeah, because from here, you can use it as a thrusting weapon and create that distance. You strike down on top, bring this across, bring this down here, bring it into the body, smash the knee, go for the joints. That's a principle of self-defense. Break the joints. Go for the joints, go for that knee, go for that ankle. If you have to, go for the neck. Knock them out, or worse, for self-defense. But this wasn't even $10. This was $4.99, $4 at Lowe's Hardware here in the States. So can you get one for less than 80, 90 bucks? Yeah. Is it going to be as nice? No. Do I prefer this? 1,000,000%. Do I recommend this for a beginner if you're starting out and you don't know if you want to invest all that money? Yes. It's like if you join the gym. Before you join the gym, you've been thinking about it. You want to lose some weight. You want to get in shape. Summer's coming up. Summer's here. You want to go to the beach or whatever. And you say, well, I'm going to be like every other person in the West and get the membership at the LA Fitness. And then you're going to be like every other person at LA Fitness and never go there. And they're going to keep drawing that out of your account, 40 bucks every month, because it'll say $10, or the purple gym. What's the purple gym? Planet Fitness. And everybody goes into the Planet Fitness thinking they're going to work out, get in shape, and you go in there, and it's designed. Because I used to work at Bally's, and I remember when they came in and explained it to me, because I was thick-headed. Here I was thinking I was there to help people. They're like, no. You're going to sign them up, and then after 2 or 3 months, they're not going to come, but they won't cancel the membership for 3 years. And we're just going to keep drawing it. And those places are designed to suck you dry while you're still, right? So before you go and sign the contract, because there are some people who use it every day, that could be you, you got to do push-ups every day. Do push-ups and squats every day. Push-up, squats, get on the ground, do some crunches every day. You can do that for 2 weeks. 3 weeks is better. Then go invest your money because you already invested your time. So learn how to invest your time first. And get a broom. A broom is a perfect size Joe. Did you ever see that movie with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, Coming to America? The first one. I haven't seen the second one. And there's that scene, Samuel L. Jackson comes in, shotgun, and he starts cussing and yelling and screaming, give me the money, whatever. And then Eddie Murphy's talking to his lady friend, and then he pulls his mop, and he just unscrews the mop handle. And then he gets up, and he says to Samuel L. Jackson, in his fake African accent or whatever, like he's some kind of prince, which is the movie. That's the premise of the movie. He's the prince from, I said Wakanda last time. It wasn't Wakanda. That's the other movie, right? Panther. From whatever it was. And he's like, leave these nice people alone. And he's just standing here like this with his Joe, with his self-defense walking stick. He's the first responder. Eddie Murphy in that movie, perfect example. Why wait for the cops to come when the guy's already taken 6 people out? You're standing there, you have a stick. It's better than nothing. And he takes that stick, bam, and he comes, bam, straight up, bam. See it? I mean, it's a simple technique. Boom. Imagine that up between the legs. You can do that very fast, very effectively. The guy had the shotgun, boom, he hits the shotgun out, and then he comes around and sweeps his leg out, breaks the knee, goes for the knee joint, and then boom, right in the face, knockout. Because the end of that is very hard on his head. And the guy's head probably cracked against the linoleum floor of the fake McDonald's in that movie. Boom. And then he's standing there. He's like, don't do anything else. The guy's looking at him, and this is pointed right at his throat. Boom. Real quick, real fast. Are you strong enough to do that? Yes. What if you're in a wheelchair? Can you still defend yourself if you've got that stick with you? You have reach, smashing, pushing, thrusting, both hands in, shoving them off. Yes, you do. That's the beauty of this. You put 2 hands on, start boxing them in the face. This comes flying at your temple, you're moving back. This comes flying at your jaw, you're not blocking it with your hand. What happens if they grab it? Twist and push, twist and push. What do you twist to? 1 hand up to 12, 1 hand down to 6. On the old-fashioned clock, the one I got right there, right? 12 and 6. From here, Zamunda. They're the Prince de Zamunda, is that what it said? The Prince of Zamunda. From here to here. Yeah. Love that movie. That was one of my favorite movies growing up because he's fighting with the martial arts weapon. I started with a painter's pole. And the other thing we had was, because we do a lot of drywall work, and you have to, sand down the wall, the drywall, the paste with the sander on the end of the stick. And then I'm waiting between apartments because we painted hundreds of apartments every summer when I was a kid. My dad would get these big contracts, and then I would just paint. And then you learn how to do all of the basic moves. And then I took a Jodo class. I'd drive to Cincinnati because there weren't any in Columbus, Ohio, where I was from. That's the other reason I like the other Joe better than this stick, is the length. So when I've spent so much time training with this length, and I haven't had this length, but your hands naturally just come from side to side. Now, let's real fast get back to basic technique. If it's backhand, between me and you, point it, thrust to the shoulder, chop them down, think about temple, think about jaw, and then straight across the other side. All right, and then the other side, it's behind your body, lift, thrust, shoulder, down, and then across, smash that jaw, box them in the ear, maybe break that elbow, break the shoulder, maybe their hands are up, you go in and you knock one of those ribs straight through the lungs, they're coughing up blood. All with your Joe, your hiking stick, your walking stick. You have to train to be your own first responder. And by the way, that also means, like I have in the car, I've got a full med kit, 3 tourniquets. They say 2 is 1, 1 is none. So I've got 3. So 3 tourniquets, I've got all the stop bleeding patch stuff. I've got all that stuff that I would take to a firing range in case there was a range accident. Got all the stuff I would take in case there's an active shooting. And I might not know how to use it. You might not know how to use it, but if you have some of it with you, there's usually a medical professional nearby, and then allow them. Yeah, I saw Keith Melton this morning, Jeremiah. Jeremiah's asking if I saw Mr. Spy. We joked, there's a new TV show on Netflix, a series called Spycraft. You guys go check out Spycraft. And the main guy, the guy that produced it and the one that talks the most, Mr. Keith Melton. Mr. Keith Melton also owns Cane Masters and is a cane master himself and a martial artist for a long time. And incredible physical condition in his 70s, still extremely vital, powerful, able to defend himself with a multitude of weapons. And handed me this morning at his house, at the Spy House. And then the kids and I went on and played video games at the giant arcade. We went down to race the golf carts or the go-karts, but they weren't open yet. So we had to play video games, right? A little bit crazy. You know, we do that maybe once or twice a year, but it's a lot of fun if you haven't done it in a while. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this pushing strike from here to here, either with your hands in the push-up position or your hands facing the opposite position. Now, from this position, with two hands on the weapon, you become very strong. The weapon becomes very strong and supportive. Someone's trying to swing at your head, you just push your arms straight. Now, see how my elbows are straight? If your elbows are straight, and they can be up at an angle, down at an angle, they can be straight out. It might move your body back, but that's if they're swinging something down on your head and you push it up straight. It's better than letting it smash you in the head. From that position, then you can come down with a strike. It's better if you train, if you have the mobility and you practice, and always come to your chest. From your chest, pushing straight up. From your chest, as you push up, step off the line. Now, what is the line? The line is the center line. So if the strike is coming here, it's coming down here, it's coming up here. If you can step to the side, remember Mr. Miyagi at the end of the first Karate Kid movie, and the guy's punching him, and he just turns and lets him go through the one window, punches the other window, and then he honks him on the nose. See, actually, he's going to chop his head in half or something. But from here, that's all you're doing. You're going to step to the side. So practice this. This is how you practice blocking with the walking stick for self-defense. When you use a Japanese Joe, the way you practice the upward block, from here, just pushing up. Step back in. That was my right foot. Now step back into the side with your left. You can also step in and to the right. I like to step in. It's more aggressive. It gets me there faster. I like to close the distance. Close with and destroy the enemy. I can't tell you how many times I heard that as a young Marine. And then again later when I was doing some training with a certain Army group, when they close with and destroy. Violence of action. These are all self-defense principles. Close with and destroy. Violence of action, immediate, direct, explosive. That's what I want you to train yourself with. But go slow at first. From here, two hands from your chest, stepping to the side as you're pushing up and out. Stepping to the other side, push up and out. Step back in, push up and out. Step back in, push up and out. Come down with that strike. And just on top of their head. From here, this piece of hard hickory, smashing there, lights out. If you can turn off their operating system, you've won the fight. From here, for self-defense. Push it up, strike down. Come back to here. Step out, push up, come down here. Now this is also a powerful strike. It's probably more powerful because of the way that your arm is positioned. Is one better than the other? No, it depends on what you need to do. But from here, pushing up, stepping off, smash. Push up as you step off, smash. Push up as you step off, smash. Push up as you step off, smashing with the front hand. And then after you smash, thrust. Block, down, thrust. Can you thrust the backhand? Absolutely. It's almost a little bit more accurate because you're limited in that range of motion. If I'm here, I block, step off, thrust, backhand, punch. So you start to build your combinations, but you're doing this technique. Now what happens if you're sitting in a chair and they're coming down on top of you and you have your stick in one hand, you put it between the two of you and you pull it down here. Jeremiah, I'll show you how do we spin it really well. And you're gonna shove it right into his face. Oak, hickory against teeth, against nose, against eyes, against jaw, against throat, against chest, against solar plexus. If his hands are on top of your body, if he puts his hands on you and you get the stick between you and him, and now it's on top of those nerves, and you have all this force, you just pull to your body like this, and then smashing as hard as you can. Oh, hey, Hank, I haven't seen Hank in a while. Hank's here. It's good to see Hank McGurk. From here, it's if you're just in one hand. Or if you're here, if it's in this position and they get their hands on you before you're paying attention to it, then you just bring this up and over, up and over. Swing it over. It'll be easy for you to do. It'll be really fast. If they're on your face, their face is on your face, stick this on their nose and then just rip everything down as you come through. Maybe pop a couple teeth out for self-defense. My son asked me today, Dad, why did you take that picture with Hank? I have a lot of respect for you too. Thank you. My new driver's license doesn't have my glasses on. And I started getting into AI and cameras are everywhere and Big Brother's watching. And I thought, I said, Henry, the lady taking the picture said, take your glasses off so I can see what color your eyes are. I told him that. But I think it's because, I don't know, AI, right? Bring it up, over, down, and thrust. Once you create that distance, imagine what's going to happen. You smash, they're going to go back a little bit. And then punch with one hand, punch with that other hand. Bring it down on top. If you have enough distance, there's that rifle bayonet attack. Bring it back this way. This also works. But think about using this in a very simple way. Let's talk about spins real quick, because I went over the practical moves, things I want you to do. I'm moving the camera. Here's how you warm up. You hold the middle of your Joe. You're gonna go side to side and get the blood to flow into the joints, into the wrists, shoulders, elbows. Build power in your grip. This spinning, you're not gonna spin for self-defense. You're running around and try to get me. That you're not Darth Vader or Darth Maul, whoever uses the double-bladed lightsaber. You're building power in your grip. See what that's doing to my forearm? That's giving me a workout right there. It's getting blood in there, plasma. It's healing all of the nasty junk that's in there. Back and forth, I do that 30 seconds, and then I'm coming to this hand. I'm gonna do the same thing. It's gonna stretch it out. My strength, as I get older, I'm looking at 4 things: flexibility, mobility, endurance, and strength. You're getting all 4 in this exercise. After 30 seconds here, I want you to practice going out from one hand to the other one. Now, if you do get a Cane Masters Joe, this is the Cane Masters Joe, that's the first link below, you're gonna get the weight that you need, the perfect weight for an everyday carry hiking staff. You wanna become your own first responder because crime rates are rising. You can get this Japanese Joe, this Cane Masters Joe, and you use it as a hiking stick, use it as a walking stick, take it with you everywhere you can take it. If you want a better option that you can take anywhere and everywhere, go for the cane. I say get both. If you have the opportunity, train with a cane, but also train with a hiking stick. You never know when you're gonna find a stick lying around you can use if you don't have this one with you. Now, after 30 seconds there, I want you to practice in the front hand. This is my right hand. I'm gonna put my right foot between me and you. I'm gonna face you. This is the front. Right hand forward, and I'm gonna bring this forward. The length of the staff, this is different. If this were the bow, the long martial arts staff, you would be spinning in the figure 8 in the middle of the staff. You don't do that with this one. You hold it like you would in self-defense. See how my elbow's bent? And this comes up to be about the middle of my shoulder, which is also known as the armpit. So they're about that tall. This one, I think, 54 inches. From here, I bring this forward. Now, if this is the threat and he catches me off guard, he starts to close that distance. I can turn my hips, my shoulders, lead. That goes first. I bring this hand up and through. Oh, I forgot to show you my favorite thrust, by the way, which is right here. In the front hand, he catches me off guard. I need to immediately respond. I can take this hard piece of wood and stick it right into the face. After that, then I can come through with the first half of that strike. So this is a strike. I can bring it back and strike with my palm facing the sky through this way. So I strike front hand and the hand turns over. So that's what you're gonna practice. You asked me how to get good at spinning. This is it. Now, spinning with the long staff is not necessarily for self-defense. It's good cross training. Spinning with the Joe, with the Cane Masters Joe, is self-defense. These are self-defense moves. From here, it's between me and you. I just do this basic spin, 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, the way you trade to the other hand is you simply cover one, open, remove, put the other one there. Get in your starting position, left hand, left foot forward, right foot back, make yourself a smaller target, and practice your basic spins. You're gonna do this for another 30 seconds. Stomach up and in, abs tight, drop your chin a little bit, breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 30 seconds here. And then I want you to practice into this position. Point the thumb, strike, pull it all the way, your hand to the end, and your other hand to the other end. So you're holding this way. Switch your feet. Now my right foot's in the lead. My right hand is gonna come palm up. Left hand is gonna come palm down, and I'm gonna strike with the right. Slide out, switch feet, strike, slide out, switch. Let me show you from the side. This is my left hand, my left foot's forward, right palm down, left palm up. That's kind of that pull cue strike. And I'm gonna switch. And as you switch, one hand just turns over, the other hand turns over, comes the other way. So from here, I strike here, and then strike here. You could also strike here and here. You slice here in the back. But to get familiar with sliding your hands, hello feet, it's good to see you. I'm doing well, I hope you're doing well. You can practice this. So start with one hand on each side. We'll come back to the strikes in a minute. Palm down, palm up, slide it to the middle, turn. Slide it back out, slide under, slide over, turn. Out, out. And then you just slowly start to increase the speed, try to find the balance. Every staff is different. It'll take me a couple weeks to get really smooth with this new Cane Masters Joe. Cane Masters Joe, my new favorite weapon, I gotta be honest. I can tell already. That's right. The Spy Master and I were talking about that. Keith Melton and I were talking about that today, Hank. You know, what if you just retire and watch TV all day and stuff your face until then you're starting to die. That's it. So it's not that you have to work a job, but do something. Don't give up. Don't believe that you're not supposed to be growing and challenge yourself, living outside your comfort zone. So you're just going from side to side, side to side. I like, I prefer the Joe, and this new Cane Masters Joe is my favorite. But you asked, the question was, what's my favorite length of staff? I love the longer staff, the bow, for the aesthetics, the looks, and all of the fun things that I can do with it. I love this size Joe for its utility, its practicality for self-defense. I don't think you can beat it because of the length. It's longer than the Hanbo, and because it's longer, it's a little bit harder, and you're able to do so many self-defense moves with it, where the bow is limited by its length. You can't use it inside if it's a low ceiling. It's more conspicuous. It looks funny if you're walking with a long staff, like are you a shepherd or something, where in this one it just looks like you're out for a walk and you have a nice stick, right? You just have that nice hickory kind of customized walking stick. It looks like a hiking stick, a walking stick. It doesn't look like a martial arts weapon. It is. I mean, it does if you're in a martial arts school, but if you're out on the street, it looks really, really nice. Yeah, Kamal says very nice. It is very nice. All right, so if you want to get better and your hands more smooth as they move across the Joe, practice bring your hands to the side and practice a pushing strike, switching and a pushing strike. And I like you to switch your feet, but you don't have to. If I'm facing you, it just looks like one hand, the hands come to the end, hands come to the end. The hand that's in the back is facing down, and when you push, turn your hand up to lock it into place. So if it hits, it moves your body back and not your arms. Front hand turns over, push. That's a ski is the Japanese term. Just means like spear strike or thrusting strike. So from here, strike, strike, and then second one, bring it straight up and over your head. So your hand, see how my arm's coming up this way? Instead of this way, eventually you want to be pushing it up, keeping it close to your body and coming down. But if your hand goes out a little bit at first, that's fine. Let it go out here, but understand that eventually you want to be able to, kind of like you're swimming. When you swim, you want to bring your arm out of the water here and not over here. So when you strike, it's the same thing. You want to be able to bring it up, bring it down, striking here, striking, and then the third motion is blocking. See that arc that comes up? I'm bringing it up this way. That can be a striking block. But it's that spiraling motion that protects it from getting broken, that can block somebody. So my hand is literally, this hand, backhand, is turning down and up. Down and up. The front hand is pushing over, but it's also sliding. And that sliding motion increases as I put pressure to the side. It's sliding and spiraling. Now that's a lot of motion, but give yourself time as you get it. But the key is bring your hands out to the end and bring it forward. Hands out to the end and bring it forward. You're welcome. Jeremiah says, thank you. I'm live streaming tomorrow. Yes, I'll live stream tomorrow. Hank, I didn't see what you have to answer for, but I'm sure nothing is fatal, nothing's final. That's the truth. From here to here, turning this way. Most things aren't. There are fatal mistakes and final mistakes, but you got to cut yourself a break sometime too. Have grace. Give yourself grace. Practice this, and then one last spin I want you to do with your palms facing different directions. I want you to come over and stop it. You can start with your hands apart, and all it is really is a wrist roll. So I'm wrist rolling over the right hand, stopping it with the left, wrist rolling over the left hand, stopping with the right. Just open. And if you slow down, if you calm down, you'll be able to do it. If you're nervous or whatever, it'll be harder, so you have to breathe. Breathe. Breathing solves so many problems. Calm down. And then once you get it, watch how I slide my hand along the other hand back onto the staff so that I'm always in contact with either my arm or my staff. And this is going to start to build power in your hand. When you first get this, it's going to be super oily, which is awesome. That's how you know it's alive and it's right. But it's going to take a while for the oil to absorb into your hands and get less oily. So it's super smooth. I'm not making excuses for it falling on my hand. That's because I haven't done it in a long time and it's a new staff. But just know that give yourself some time, wipe it off with a rag, and it'll be good. One other way you can practice that hand switching is called hand walking from here, staff walking. The hands are facing each other or opposite directions. I'm going to take this one. Oh, Hank needs to get some sleep, he says. Switching to one side and to the other side. From here. Yes, not having enough sleep makes you aggressive. That's the absolute truth. Aggressive and irritable makes it, everybody's the same. Everybody gets really aggressive and irritable when they don't sleep. But aggressiveness and irritability comes out differently in different people. Now, as I started this whole thing, I said that violent crime is rising. You need to be your own first responder. And I want to circle back to that. And the reason, it's so funny how if you watch too much media, which obviously I'm doing, then you see things that make you think about other stuff. Fita has a plaster, broke his left hand, missed the staff. Use your right. You're going to be really good with your right. And then when you can, get that hand going again when you get that plaster off. Plaster, we call it a cast. Same thing. But violent crime is rising, right? You're your own first responder because you're already there. You're there when it's going down. So take a medical class. Learn how to, and you can learn it all on YouTube. Learn how to address a sucking chest wound. Learn how to address, if it's an active shooting. Learn how to address lacerations. Learn how to, slashing attack. What if it's a head injury? What if someone has fallen and hurt their neck, or there's been some car accident and you're the first person there? You certainly don't want to make it worse. So take this mindset. Become your own first responder. Take a couple classes on basic first aid, right? And then get a couple things that you keep with you, whether it's in your backpack or in the car, a couple bandages. My wife was traveling today. She said to me, she was in the airport, there was an older gentleman cut his hand. No one had anything to give him. The liability makes the airlines not want to be helpful anymore. No one's giving this poor guy a Band-Aid, and he's sitting there bleeding with a napkin on it, getting ready to get on a plane. And she whips out her purse, and she's got a Spider-Man Band-Aid and a Princess Band-Aid. One for me, she keeps the Spider-Man for my son and the Princess for my daughter. She's always got it with her. She's always prepared. She's one of the best people I know at situational awareness too, by the way, which you have to learn. But if you're your own first responder, that means also learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to fight with a stick. And the Cane Master's Joe, if you can learn how to fight with, can you fight with a stick? If it's this, there's no question. You're gonna be able to hit so hard. It's perfectly balanced. But get anyone. I showed you the one from Lowe's that costs $5. Start with that, invest your time, invest your money later, and then go all in with self-defense. But learn how to be your own first responder. Don't be in a position where you're just panicking, frozen, waiting for someone to come save you. What if they don't come save you right away? That's happening in so many situations. It's taking 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20. Maybe it's even longer than that. Maybe you're in a place in the world where no one's coming to help you, or you find yourself in a situation, no one's coming to help you. Learn how to help yourself. Don't wait, right? Don't be the victim. And that doesn't mean you have to take on the bad guy and be the superhero. But it also means that when it comes looking for you, you have something in mind. You know how to defend yourself. You know how to solve some of the problems with, helping with some bandages or something like that, or how to stop a bleeding, or how to set a broken arm. And you don't have to be a doctor, or how to just keep them from getting hurt by moving more. Learn how to do some of those things. Become your own first responder. Start with medicine and self-defense. Learn how to help basic first aid, basic self-defense. Nothing better than this size stick, 54 inches, Cane Master's Joe. That's that first link below. Start with this, and then learn all the other weapons if you want. But have something that works. You guys have been awesome. I'll see you in just a little bit. I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're talking about collie sticks, the short sticks, how to fight with a collie, a screamer, or knee sticks, because I love fighting with sticks. We're gonna do the bow staff, we're gonna do the longer staff, and we're gonna do the cane, all in the next couple days. Plus the Uwara. I have a new Uwara I wanna show you guys. It would have been awesome. I'll see you in just a little bit.